Alright, sorry for the long layoff, guys, there, but we just got some new gear in. Wanted to show it off for you. I'm sure it's not the first time you've seen it, but as you can see, it's the new Powercat 112s. They are they're interesting. When we compared them to the 110s, definitely found that they, it was a favorable comparison, no doubt. They got some good stuff going for them. They have some more curious stuff going for them, but well and truly they are what you would call an improvement. So, Powercat 112, obviously the firm grounds, as you can see there. Similar bladed stud configuration to the previous Powercats. As you can see, you've got two, not necessarily lateral, but anyway, 4-foot studs up there. Blades all the way around. In the heel, still has those shortened studs in the back. Well, not quite as short as the old Powercats, but as you can see, they do not touch the surface of the ground when on flat surface. And the idea behind that simply being helps when, really more than anything, just release of the studs out of the ground when you're running, sprinting, whatever. Sock liner on this one, actually, we've noticed that the sock liner is somewhat improved. There's really not a lot to it because they're trying to keep the weight down on these things. We do not have... When we weighed them in a sample size 9, which is not actually the sample size that Puma generally uses, but when we weighed them, actually was a little bit tricky, because when we weighed them, they were a little bit wet from use, so they weighed a little bit heavy, but nevertheless, you're looking at on these ones considerably lighter than the original Powercats, the 110s, but they are most definitely an improvement in other ways as well. As you can see on the sock liner, not a heck of a lot to it. Standard, kind of typical molded sock liner. Very lightweight. Really nothing to it. There's not any extra cushion on there or anything. It does mold nicely to the inside of the shoe, but that's where we start to run into problems, is the inside of this shoe. The shape of the shoe, the fit of the shoe is really kind of curious. As you know, the Powercats are kind of designed for people with feet that are a little bit wider. Not at all in like the T90 line in the Nikes. If you take a look on the midfoot here, in the last Powercats, our only real complaint was that the midfoot didn't grab the actual shape of your foot all that much, and as a result, the fit was kind of blobby. You have the same thing on these ones. You'll notice it is tipped, the forefoot of the shoe is tipped a little bit inwards when compared to the Powercat 110s. You'll see that the toes kind of lean in like that. That anatomical fit is supposed to provide a little bit more tension in the midfoot here. What it ends up causing is just kind of a word of caution. People with high arches, this shoe is not for you. If you have high arches and as a result you have heel pain, things like that, this is not the shoe for you. I really can't stress it enough. It hurts after a little while. So high arches, not your shoe. Low arches, flat foot, not a problem. They actually do a pretty good job of supporting a flat foot in that, as you can see, like we said, it's kind of tipped in like that. It really does follow the curvature of a foot in general. If you've got a super wide foot or if you've got bunions or things like that, these are not the shoes for you either. Because again, with that tipped in forefoot, it's just going to aggravate them really bad. But they do work well on an average foot. Basically, if you've got a foot that fits into the majority of soccer cleats, this thing will fit you quite nicely. But again, you're going to find you're not getting the kind of tension, the kind of grasp here in the midfoot that you would get from, say, like a T90 or, well, not necessarily a T90, but probably more like a Tiempo, something like that. Or a Predator in Adidas's line, that sort of thing. They're kind of modeled similarly to the T90 also in the way they've got their, what they call the 3D PST right here. This one's actually known as the PST Duo, and the reason why is simply because the idea is there's actually two kind of microfiber, or actually thermoplastic materials right here in the middle of the apparatus there. This one right here is essentially meant to be able to put a little bit more control on a ball, similar to the Predators, the way the Predators have that rubber applique on there. And then this portion right here is basically meant to be able to strike a ball a little bit harder. That one's a little bit, basically it's not meant to absorb energy, it's meant to rebound. So as a result, your shot does get a little bit extra strike on it. But really, I'll tell you what, these little fins right here, and we'll zoom in on them a little bit so you can see for yourself, but these little fins right here are quite stiff. And when you're striking a ball with these things, they are not doing a whole heck of a lot of moving. A ball is really rebounding off of them. But because they're so raised, and if you look at it, They are definitely pointing straight up off of that. Because of that, we have found that swerve on balls on these shoes is absolutely terrific. I know people talk a lot about, are they good for knuckling, stuff like that. These shoes are awesome for knuckling. We've tried to throw a sample video up, but unfortunately we haven't had the chance. But because we didn't get a lot of footage, unfortunately, but the swerve on these shoes is absolutely terrific, and the knuckle is even better. So if you're one of those guys who likes to get out there with your camera and shoot a couple of knuckleballs, these are absolutely terrific for that. Aside from that, bladed studs don't provide any more support than they did in the Powercat 110s. The upper is still premium K-leather all the way up to the middle of the foot. Same on the other side. You'll find this seam beyond here, it's all microfiber, just like on the other side of the shoe here. They're designed in Italy's national team colors because simultaneously Puma has released a whole bunch of new Italy gear, including the jerseys, long sleeves, all that good stuff. So that's why you're going to see that these were launched kind of, similar timing to that for that reason. But other than that, the asymmetrical lace is obviously not similar to the original Powercats. The original Powercats was asymmetrical all the way through. You'll find that for the actual closure on the shoe, the lace is a little bit more central at the top of the shoe and then descends into an asymmetrical. So as a result, the lace gives you a little bit more grip right up here. So it hugs your foot a little bit better on the top of your foot. Unfortunately, the outsole doesn't do a great job of gripping the bottom of your foot right through the middle there. The only other thing that really kind of bugs us about the shoe is that the tongue is really flimsy, and it's actually kind of stiff right at the top here, so it kind of aggravates your skin a little bit if you're wearing thin socks. But all in all, performance-wise, they actually do really well. They don't take on a whole heck of a lot of water, even though they are K-leather, only because there's just not a heck of a lot of K-leather on it. It is a stiff K-leather to start out, so expect to do a lot of treatments on it. It's the kind of K-leather that you find not necessarily in the old Powercats. The old Powercats was really a little bit more supple than this. These ones, like I said, just stiff. Tiempos are a really soft one. Predators have a fairly soft leather at the forefoot, or not leather, as it were. But these ones, like I said, just kind of stiff. So expect to do a lot of treating. Expect to, kind of keep them out of the muck to begin with. Otherwise, you're going to find that they are, they're not going to hold up quite as well as you'd expect. So definitely handle with care. Wash them when they're dirty, all that good stuff. So, but if you guys got any questions, you know where to find us. We'll go ahead and have more details on on Puma's new lines coming up. We'll have some details on the Evo Speed. We're going to have some really interesting stuff. So, anyway, keep in touch here, guys. We definitely we encourage the comments, and we really appreciate them. And we've been doing our best to get back to more recent stuff. So, thanks a lot, and we'll have an F50 video up for you very shortly too.